So what kind of political deals are done behind closed doors at the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia? And is real justice being compromised by real politics? Well, here to discuss Storm are my own panel of esteemed judges. Dr. Adam Fagan, author of Europe's Balkan Dilemma, Paths to State Building or Civil Society, and veteran film critic Neil Norman. Very warm welcome to the programme. Start with you, Neil. It kind of starts with a Hitchcock kind of scenario of the false witness leading to the true witness. Does it continue building to a kind of traditional courtroom thriller?
In some respects it does. I mean, the thing about this film is that its narrative arc is utterly conventional. So it begins with this sort of sense of paranoia and which permeates the whole film. I think what marks it out, however, and what lifts it above a normal political thriller or a conventional political thriller is the style and the approach, which is quasi-documentary.
They're using a handheld camera throughout the whole
almost
film.
entirely, but also in the performances themselves, which are utterly naturalistic. I think all the acting in it is absolutely wonderful. And I think it's that style and that approach that actually sort of gives it a greater credence in terms of what it's actually attempting to say.
And is it saying it more persuasively because it has this edgy realism?
Yeah, it's got that, definitely. I mean, I also think that the research behind it is paramount. I mean, clearly as an insight into the politics behind what's going on in The Hague and the War Crimes Tribunal is just as important as actually the trials themselves. Something
which I haven't heard of and explored before in a film. To bring you in here, Adam, the threats we saw in that first clip, are they realistic in terms of how maybe witnesses might be taking risks, having fears, and still living perhaps next to people who they're accusing or relatives they're accusing?
Yes, absolutely. I think that's incredibly realistic, and I think even where in the case of Mira living in Berlin, it's absolutely very likely that there would be Serbians living alongside her in the community, and she would feel that intimidation because, of course, this huge displacement of ex-Yugoslav citizens in the 1990s.
And even though she's living in Germany, the kind of threats have become transnational?
Absolutely, the transnational networks that certainly would. It would be absolutely normal for her to feel intimidated, but also to experience that kind of attack.
Now, Neil, we don't really see much of the general himself, the man accused of these war crimes. We see him at the beginning. We know he has a family when he's apprehended by the UN forces. What difference does it make to the film that he's not the kind of the focus of the bad feeling?
Well, because I don't think that's the issue of the film. I think the fact that it's actually set when it's set is more to do. It's more to do with the commission itself and the operation of that than anything that happened in Bosnia or the former Yugoslavia. And I think that's important because I don't think any fictional film could convincingly convey the very, very complex situation that happened between, say, 1991 and 1990, the end of the 1990s, during those 8 years.
Briefly, Adam, can we just get an idea how big a fish have they got? It's obviously not Slobodan Milosevic. It's somebody much further down the chain.
Yes, but I think that's nevertheless very important because, of course, the court has had a number of successes with precisely that level of individual. So I think that makes it more realistic, and I think a film that tried to capture or tried to dramatise a Karadzic would be a very different kind of film, really. Yeah. And I think it's very, very important because, for me, the strongest message the thing that I feel is really the greatest contribution of the film is this absolute burning desire and importance of people being able to tell their story and the truth and reconciliation.